So, the next definition of a spiritual director that I want to give in this series is that a good spiritual director is like the owner of a storehouse. And in order to explain that, I'm going to have to read to you a parable from Jesus. Okay. Now, a spiritual director, we've already said, is someone that can come along as our lives are going through certain transitions, or we're a little disoriented. Maybe we haven't heard from God in quite a long time, and we just need a coach. We need somebody who has gone through that type of a experience and come through on the other side better for it. You know. So there's only one parable that I'm aware of in the New Testament from Jesus in which he says it in one verse. And it's Matthew 13, verse 52. It's one of my favorites. Therefore, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house or storehouse who brings out of his storeroom new treasures as well as old. And what I like about that is that there's a mix of old and new, you know? So let's imagine, let's say you have a mentor and all they do is keep saying to you brand new things. And they're not anchored in any tradition. They're not anchored in any particular voice or wisdom. They just keep saying brand new things. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're good for you. But also, you could be with someone who only knows how to quote very, very old things. And there have been some newer developments, right? We have to now in our world, as we think about spirituality, we have to think about healthy psychology and emotional well-being, and how the body is also connected to the mind, and the mind is connected to thoughts and feelings, and then all of that's also wrapped up in some intertwining between the integration of mind, body, spirit, all those things. So for me, I like to think that a good spiritual director is someone who will go back and reach into the history of the tradition, for me, the Christian tradition. Grab some of the best nuggets that have been overlooked and share them here now in our conversation. But then also maybe bring in some new insights and show how these things can be merged together. What does it look like to be a person on a somewhat spiritual path, following maybe even the Jesus path, and trying to discern or figure out how to live in this day with integrity in the midst of all those things. So I like to think that a good spiritual director is the owner of a storehouse. And they'll every so often reach into it, pull out some good or new wisdom that we haven't heard before, but it's at least coming from a place. It's coming from a tradition. It's coming with the stamp of approval of already standing through the the test of time, you know. And so, if that sounds good to you, I think that's one of my favorite definitions of a good spiritual director. They are anchored in a tradition, but then they also say some brand new insights, especially at a point in time when we might really need an outside voice outside of our own heads. So, yeah, there's another definition of spiritual director for you.